So this morning, a reporter from Channel 24 was here because they heard that something different was happening at church. And one of the questions I was asked was why the choice of jazz? And why the choice of jazz for the last 8 summers? In many ways, jazz is the most inherently spiritual of music. What we know now as American jazz originated in the rhythms that enslaved Africans brought with them from their homelands. Those rhythms morphed and changed over time, becoming songs of defiance, survival, pride. And why the moon as the theme, the reporter asked. And I said, in some ways, in nature, one of the most inherently spiritual objects and experiences is that of the moon, and especially tomorrow with the full moon. As long as human beings have looked at the sky, the moon has inspired mythologies and meaning-making. The Aztecs believed the moon was a goddess, the daughter of the rain god. The Maya looked to the moon as the patroness of weaving. For the Inca, the moon ruled the winds and was the goddess of childbirth. In Arabia, the Sahara, and Ethiopia, the moon was male, a god watching over the desert caravans traveling through the cool comfort of the night. As the moon moves through its phases, it appears to alter in shape. Naturally, then, the moon became a symbol of change, of life rhythms, and the passing of time. The moon has also come to symbolize our human primitive responses, also the feeling realm, and some say the unconscious. Some also say our changing moods are ruled by the moon, cyclical like the waning and the waxing light. This nighttime orb exerts enormous control over the earth and its creatures. It has great power. The tides rise and fall by the moon's influence. Dogs, wolves, foxes, jackals, and coyotes sing to this immortal silver disk in the sky. And who hasn't done something we shouldn't have done on the night of the full moon? Persian-American author Tahira Mafi notes, "The moon is our loyal companion. It never leaves. It's always there, watching, steadfast, knowing us, yet changing forever, just as we do. Every day, it's a different version of itself, just like us. Sometimes it's weak and just a sliver. Sometimes it's strong and full and robust. The moon understands what it means to be human, uncertain, alone, cratered by imperfections." So this morning, instead of a sermon, we have jazz music and spoken word that will interplay, inviting us to go dancing in the moonlight.
This morning, I'm going to share 3 moon poems from celebrated poet Li Bai. A Chinese poet of the Tang Dynasty, Li Bai grew up in Sichuan province. He left home in the year 725 to wander through the Yangtze River Valley and write poetry. The sunlight fades, mist fills flowers. The white moon weeps and cannot sleep, and so I play upon my lute this song with meanings none can tell. The moon shimmers in blue water. White herons fly through the moonlight. A young person hears someone gathering water chestnuts. Into the night, singing, they paddle home together. They did not see the moon I do. Yet this moon shone on ancients too. Present and past, one flowing stream. This moonlight, one eternal gleam.
Constantly in Motion by Mary Wellemeyer. Nature can be comforting when life is hard and full of change, for here are truth and solidness beyond the vagaries of human will. Yet, there's something in the solidness itself that isn't settled at all. Tonight, the moon shines bright and full behind a thin veil of clouds. The storm is to the south of us, moving northward along the coast. The still, thin clouds look lovely, and I admire the moon. Last night, there were no clouds at all, only a spangling of stars across the sky to decorate the moon's shimmering path. The moon changes. The atmosphere changes. And yet, this is all somehow a constant, something solid to count on, constantly in motion. Maybe nature is not so different from the way we are.
Poet Mary Oliver wrote a series of poems about Percy, her beloved canine companion, a Bichon Frise rescue. Mary Oliver writes, "What do you say, Percy? I am thinking of sitting out on the sand to watch the moon rise. It is full tonight. So here we go." And the moon rises, so beautiful, it makes me shudder, makes me think about time and space, makes me take measure of myself, one iota pondering heaven. Thus we sit, myself thinking how grateful I am for the moon's perfect beauty, and also, oh, how rich it is to love the world, Percy. And meanwhile, he leans up against me and gazes up into my face, as though I were just as wonderful as the perfect moon.
We have one final reading and then a closing song for all of us to sing together. This reflection, brief reflection, is called Moment of Spirit. It's by the beloved Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Elizabeth Tarbox, who, since writing these words, has moved through the phases of her life, like the phases of the moon, and has passed into the mysteries of death. She wrote this poem while standing near the ocean on her beloved Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I have this living image in my mind of the moonlight over the water, a broad highway of the most delicate iridescent light, fluidly inviting my participation. It calls, and I must follow, Nothing matters but the pool of the moon, and my spirit stretches for it. Oh, source of life, let my spirit soar. For once, let my soul go free so I may kiss the moon and become the clouds and roll over the ocean. But the earth clings to my feet with an insistence that cannot be denied. All I can do is sigh and lean into the music of the moon and imagine my spirit, ghostly and gossamer, sliding into the silver night. And then I notice on the edge of a cliff in front of me a single tall blade of grass, leaning likewise and dancing to the same call. We are the earthbound ones, left to keep our adventurous spirits longing and leaning, looking for the light. Keep us poised thus, dear spirit, entrusted to the earth and moving to the poetry of the stars. Que así sea, bendito sea. May it be so, blessed be. Amen. We end by adding our voices to David and Dr. Otto's music, singing a classic song of the Great American Songbook. Most of us from the older generations will know it. For our younger folks who may not know it, thank you for allowing us to share it with you today. Like a full moon, let's rise in body or spirit and sing, "Fly Me to the Moon."